Okay, so thank you for attending today's webinar. So I'm share my slide first and then I'll start. Okay, so we are going to talk about a very fantastic topic today. So I think this is the first maybe ever in healthcare, life science, and AI domain that actually the Stephen and Jan is a pioneer, including me, in this new field. So we are going to talk about agentic physics-informed deterministic inverse AI for healthcare, life sciences. Okay, so let me check that first. Oh, schedule. So I'm going to do some introduction. This is introduction actually. So we have in the 15 minutes, I'm going to talk about what is execution grade AI framework. And then actually the supposed Jan is an expert in this field. So he has already have an article, but there was a family emergency today. So
He's,
it'll be done by Stephen. Actually,
yep,
well,
he's
he was
online.
expert. Yeah. So we talk about the consolidation of physics AI. Maybe it'll be a good opportunity that if you don't know about what is the physics AI, right? Because some may be very rare about what's term mean, especially you are in AI in healthcare area, but it's generally accepted in the AI expert community. So you will learn about the good time to have a kind of like what is it, physics area you can learn. And then it's a main topic, right? We actually apply in real life kind of a platform. So next try AI is a digital mechanical try activation platform. So Stephen will talk about introduce this fantastic framework to apply real life clinical trials, and also he shows some demo. And then we have a Q&A time. Okay. Okay, so I will start because I need to click my full screen, but it does not off. It has anyway because I will start first, and then if this allow me to okay, so now allow me to click slide more. So this is very brief introduction. So I already shared very deep dive analysis type white paper in chat, and so you will look at the details. So what healthcare AI usually you may know because for example that I kind of learned this kind of webinar for 2 years, and mostly topic is AI in healthcare. And then I touch upon the all different aspect of the healthcare, clinical AI, and in the like drug discovery and clinical trial, and in even many type of the like therapeutics you may be, and then a healthcare operation, right? Because I have intensive experience, and I have a opportunity to have a teaching position in Johns Hopkins. So I just elaborate 6 week intensive course about this topic and deliver all kind of the topic related to healthcare in AI, right? So AI in healthcare. But the unfortunately, actually, the nobody have this is a real life realistic because a lot of people are express that they are interesting, and a lot of people claim that they are expert, and a lot of people have a like event or whatever that what the current status innovation something like that, this AI in healthcare, and what is a real life application, and what the hospital and healthcare system other ecosystem apply, blah blah blah, right? A lot of information, but never they actually noticed that actually the why in real life only few actually seriously apply and implement it in real life healthcare ecosystem. You should be noted. So if you search, actually there's not many cases, only a few cases actually that very surface, and then most of the current AI applying healthcare is not non-critical, kind of like a healthcare operation, patient engagement, like something, right? Because non-critical. Why? Because their answer usually their answer based on probability, right? Because the traditional AI like deep learning, machine learning, whatever is they call kind of like a stochastic reasoning, right? So they depending on the probability. So their answer is not deterministic. Deterministic means that this is zero, right? It's not like a 190. It's a deterministic. But what they say that, oh, it's a range of the 99% and 99.9% something, right? It's in the range probability. So that's why that it cannot be provided convincing because the healthcare is very, very, very kind of like a specialized field to apply AI because it's a field that actually it should apply very like a determinate way, right? So that's why they little very critically can have to decision making in if they are really in the clinical or therapeutic matter, right? So that's why. So, I was looking at oh, is there any ways actually to change the situation? Then I call in the Tom and then Stephen and me have the same mind that how about determinist AI, right? And then what is this determinist AI? So contrast to traditional probabilistic type AI, we provide a very definite number, definite answer, definite thing, and then. And then what is with the differentiate others? You maybe know about that there is something product like medical grade product. And then we have like a medical grade AI that usually we call the execution grade. So it can be executed as a healthcare domain, right? So that's the motivation. So this is the one actually that I try to give you that why motivate this webinar and then why we focus on this topic. So this is our experience. The prediction do not infer safety or compliance, right? Because this is a very important factors in healthcare, right? Is a kind of like a safety, right? And compliance. So and then responsibility, right? Because who is accountable, right? Because a lot of people talk about what will happen, something wrong with AI to apply in healthcare area, who is liable, responsibility. We don't like for example the healthcare community. I don't like to have this kind of like conceptualization that have post something happen. There was something happen long, and then retrospectively that what was wrong, who is responsible, rather than just say that how we can protect that whether that even before actually the take account and responsibility that how we can be precursor about. That's the one we are trying to do. So some of people just focus on explainable AI that because a lot of people that worry about most of the AI is a black box. So you got the input and outcome, but nobody knows what happening inside. Like there is a neural network or whatever, right? So a lot of people try to do explanation, right? So how you got this probability measure from the info, and then they try to give you the some explanation, not breakfast. But that's not enough, right? If you have an explanation and something happened, right? And the post after that, okay, so what happened is because of this reason. That's not the answer that we want, right? 'Cause even precursor that if we have known about every explanation before, so actually we determine that this will be kind of like in a determined way to we expect this outcome, right? That's one I wanted to deliver. And so we just that called exclusion grade AI. So exclusion grade is designed to act safely. So architect for reproducibility. I think that the Steve will be explain about like for example your input, one input, you should be the same answer, right? You will test that. For example, you test your like problems. For example, the ChatGPT based on large language model, right? You ask about the same question to ChatGPT with every time you ask the same input, it'll give you a little bit different answer, right? So we don't want to do that. And then trust is built into system design. So safety emerges from construction, not like a narrative exploration. So I just looking at what will be the four pillars to like construe the exclusion grade AI. So agentic AI is a orchestration, a physics-informed AI is a scientific constraint, and deterministic AI is truth boundary, and inverse AI is goal-driven reasoning. So it can be integrated and then we can apply. But actually, the we can pick and choose some part, right? But anyway, this formula will be a complete set. You can have this one. And additionally, maybe if you want, actually, I'm thinking about like quantum AI is one of the one that I'm working on it, and another one is a casual AIs, but that's optional. So I'm going to have a separate webinar in next 2 weeks later and 4 weeks later about this separate type of the quantum AI and also like a casual AI. But anyway, because today's topic is this is formula is essential component. So identity AI already explained like many how work is done, and physics informed AI is constraint matters, and it's usually the biology and the physics law kind of thing constraint. And then also like a determined AI, the same input must produce same output, right? Because the auditability is non-negotiable because it should be audited, and you know about what is traceable, reviewable, and defensible. And inverse AI is kind of like I'm going to show that actually I currently working with my co-founder in the stealth mode, and then actually I just talked with my co-founder that we already have a draft in protect our idea. So we want to reveal something, but unfortunately that we didn't file yet our patent application. So I'm going to just show the very surface how we do, right? Because this is another very significant application nobody done before. So I have an opportunity to introduce in the at the end of this presentation. And unified architecture, so it can be the intended to execution. So goals are split in input. So we have a split goal, and then in a determined way, and that reason is constrained before execution, and execution is determined. It's a key area that we are going to apply in different type layer of the healthcare application. And this is where decision made is the probabilistic AI proposed and determined AI execute, right? Because human authority is produced by design. And the prediction and compared to the execution. So prediction estimate what might happen. So useful, but insufficient for regulate action. And execution ensures what will happen safely. So this is related to healthcare, a master course. So high impact domain. So one thing is a precision medicine, but this is not actually in the kind of like uh, thing that you have it, because this is actually the I just have a this kind of can apply, but actually it's not implemented yet. So you can just think about it, just the example, not actually implement. And this is the same thing, can apply. But this is the ideal life phone. Actually, I work with my co-founder. We are going to set up the company based on this technology. Like we are under kind of like filing patent application. And once we have that one, we want to review very detailed. But anyway, because we have every kind of thing that start still in stealth mode. So what we are going to do, apply physics-informed inverse AI synthetic quantitative MRI platform for early treatment response assessment in the oncology. So what we are going to do is actually that the problem today is kind of you may know if you're in the oncology, for example, you have a breast cancer that, and then there is a screening process whether there is something feel like you may be something wrong with your breast, and then you suspect about whether it's a kind of a breast cancer or not, and then you go to hospital and the doctor look at it. Oh, let's go to the pre-screening. So whether you will be have some problem with like a possibility of your kind of like breast cancer. And then there are many ways, and MRI is one of the tools actually. You scan your breast and find out whether there is a breast cancer or not. And after that, actually, what you're doing is that you find out the best treatment plan, right? Whether is sonography or whatever, right? And then before surgery, and then you want to see whether some kind of drug will be effective, because you may pharmacogenomics is, or the reason is that because not all drug generally developed is for specific topic, and then some drug are working, some drugs are not working. So what's the verify? Actually, you apply and then look at the what you have on your cancer tissue, right? And then looking at through the MRI. But that process is very, very slow. So we are going to solve this problem that one-time scanning and then using physics informed AI. Why? Because we're using MRI, so we know about MRI physics. So applied MRI physics, and then inverse AI means that the even you it's just one time of your scanning, and then using inverse AI, it can know about that whatever the input state actually in the for the future state, right? So that means that the one-time scanning, and then you will have an answer that if you're the another situation in the future, that whatever the like outcome, so it will be reduced to like a multiple kind of screening required using MRI. It's very costly and time consuming. Also, it's very kind of like the physicians want to know about apply some drug and right away without waiting 1 month or something like what happened and then found that oh it's not working and then changing drug. So we want to dramatic change in that situation. So I think that maybe in the future I have an opportunity to reveal a more deeper level of the because we are going to reveal this one and then we found we are going to set up company and then looking for the collaborator or whatever. So I will have an opportunity later. Okay, so next well Steve. So can you talk about the physics AI?
Definitely, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And Jan, you're on as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Great.
Oh yeah, you're here. Yeah,
Hi, Alex.
I just explained that you have a family emergency. So, but anyway,
Yeah, but I'm here. Yeah, my
yeah,
wife
you can do
has.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Great. So can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome. So, good morning. Over the next 15 minutes or so, we're gonna walk you through something that's been building across multiple industries for the last 2 years, and it's about to converge in a way that is fundamentally changes how AI kind of operates in regulated environments. And then I'm going to show you, what it looks like, and that's a live walkthrough and a demo. So let's jump over here. Boom. So, here's the arc of the last 5 years. We went through excitement. AI can match patients to trials at 87% accuracy to a trust crisis. Sponsors can't submit confidence scores to the FDA, like Alex mentioned. Regulators can't audit a black box. And screen failure rates haven't moved despite billions of AI investment, right? The question has shifted from how accurate is your model to what is your model guarantee? And that's the shift that we're in right now. So the problem, right, these numbers haven't changed in the last 5 years, right? 80% of trials miss enrollment. Screen failure rates range from 36 to 88%, depending on the disease area, right? Rare disease is even worse. The industry is burning $25 million a month per delayed trial, and AI adoption is stuck at 15% of sites. Why is that? Because the current generation of AI tools, natural language processing, NLP, right, on clinical notes or pattern matching on EHR data solves a problem that isn't the bottleneck. The bottleneck isn't finding patients. The bottleneck is it's finding patients at the right moment in their disease trajectory. So these converge, right? They're all happening simultaneously. So this creates a consolidation window that, first, regulation is demanding. The EU AI Act classifies clinical decision support as AI risk, high risk AI, right? And those rules take effect August 2026. The FDA's framework is trending in the same direction. So, and second, the science is ready, right? Physics-informed neural networks have matured drastically. The PIN literature, physics-informed neural network, in clinical applications has exploded. And formal verification has been validated by DeepMind, Harmonic AI, OpenAI, and Meta, right? The biggest labs in the world, right? They're using theorem provers. Third, the market needs it, right? Protocol complexity keeps climbing. Rare diseases is the fastest growing trial category. And sponsors are done paying for AI tools that output confidence scores that can't submit to a regulator, right? So these three forces are converging in a window between now and 2027. And whoever builds this infrastructure for the convergence owns that category. So here's what it looks like. Jan, you want to talk on this one?
Yeah, sure.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Some years ago, the physics AI, the physics-informed neural network, started building using AI for solving EDE and PDE problems. So we had like CAD industry, like engineering industry, with big problems running simulators and this kind of thing. The complex, the weird and scary problems, people were using simulators for solving them. Then they get idea to uniting the AI models with the constraints of physics and solving the problems. When I started studying physics AI, one thing that came with my mind was like, we don't need exactly to add the PDEs. We don't. What we are building when we say physics AI is like we are understanding the nature, we are understanding the pattern of the system, the conditions, the constraints that have the regulation of the system, the model itself, and then we are adding the real conditions that happens inside of the model. So this came exactly what we have in mind right now. So as Steven said, we have an explosion of applications for healthcare using physics AI, because people are understanding that the main core is not exactly putting equations inside of there, but it's like understanding the nature, the real world patterns, and putting these things inside of the models. When we have the traditional healthcare, the traditional clinical researches studies, what we have is like the patient, where the patient is now the point of the analysis. It's one thing that is singular. We are not analyzing the whole trajectory of the patient inside of the clinical trial. So we have a lot of risk here, and as Alex said, we have a probability of the processes being a success or not. But when we analyze the entire trajectory of the patient inside of their own life, so we have the variables that can say like the clinical protocol is right, the patient, it's enough for being inside of a protocol or this kind of thing. If we go for another example, if we came, for example, for educations, if we say that students above 15 years cannot study in a program in a university, this is a physics constraint. It's not physics at all, but it's a nature constraint. So the same thing happens here. We are not analyzing only one phase point, one single point, but we are analyzing the whole process of the patient inside of the system. So when we have this, we have not a zero predictive capability, but we have a 30, 60-day prediction horizon. So now we can understand the entire situation, the entire trajectory of the patient inside of the research, the protocol itself, and this can guarantee us that this is more robust than just analyzing a single point. You can pass.
Yeah, no, I mean, and, the problem is that, patients are dynamic systems. Their biomarkers follow well-characterized dynamics, right? Pharmacokinetics, disease progression curves, organ function trajectories, and these aren't mysteries. They are differential equations, right? When you embed those dynamics into the model itself, not as features, but as hard constraints in the loss function, that AI cannot learn, right? Predictions, that violate clinical physics, so that it cannot hallucinate, or a suddenly improving cardiac biomarker in a terminal patient. It's impossible, right? The model is constrained by reality, and that constraint is what gives you the 30, 60, 90-day proactive window that no statistical model can match. So, right, it's a paradox. We, right, perfectly illustrates the trajectory modeling matters. You take any biomarker-driven eligibility criterion, cardiac, renal, hepatic, whatever the progressive disease. The biomarker that qualifies you for the trial is the same biomarker that tells you the patient is getting sicker. So the patient approaching an NT-proBNP threshold of 8,500 in cardiac amyloidosis isn't becoming more eligible, right? And this is the what we'll be demoing today. Our approach models the trajectory, sees that they'll cross in 7 days, and says, screen now, before cardiac function degrades further. Because once they cross and keep climbing, screen failure risk jumps past 65%. And the eligibility window is closing, not opening. So this is a concept that applies across every therapeutic area with progressive biomarker-driven criteria. So I'll show you exactly what it looks like in real data in the demo. So, right, the second pillar. So the second pillar is cascading forecasting, right? A cascade forecasting. So, and this is where the industry current tools completely break down. Every AI matching platform on the market today answers one question: is the patient eligible today? That's step one of 4-step problem, right? The sponsor doesn't just need you to know who's eligible. They need to know who will pass screening, who will stay enrolled, who will tolerate the treatment, and who will complete the protocol. Each of those steps has its own failure mode, right? And its own risk factors, its own dynamics. And when you model the full cascade, you can protect enrollment curves and that actually hold up, not just forecasts that miss by 45 days, right? Forecasts that hold within 2 weeks. That's the difference between a dashboard metric and an operational planning tool. So pillar 3, formal verification. This is where, it's been used in chip design, avionics, nuclear systems for decades, right? This is not a new application to machine learning. Google DeepMind used Lean 4 as a proof assistant, to build alpha proof, which, solved international math Olympiad problems, with formal verified solutions. Harmonic AI, as Aristotle, achieved gold medal performance with the same approach. The key insight, a proof that succeeds or fails. There's no confidence interval, no calibration error. The model is probably right. There's none of that. It's binary. When you apply this to clinical trial eligibility, every prediction can carry a proof certificate that mathematically demonstrates recommendation, respects all of the hard safety constraints. So that proof certificate is exportable, it's independently verifiable, and it's exactly what the regulators are going to demand, not today, but by 2027.
One thing also about this pillar that Steven say is like we are allowing, as we have the mathematical proof and we have the clinical constraints inside of the model. What we have here is not the explainability AI itself, because the explainability AI comes after the model is trained. It's like we have the failures, we have the errors, we have the wrong results, and we want to understand why the model predicts in that way. But when we use the mathematical proof and when we add in the real clinical and health constraints inside of the model, what we are training, what we are exactly doing, it's the model is not allowed to hallucinate in some threshold, in some specific field. So depending of the constraints that we allow, we are saying to the model that you can make some mistakes, but the mistakes that you are doing, they cannot go in above or higher this kind of field exactly. So when we have this, we have when we use the mathematical proof and when we add in the physical constraints inside of the model, we are guaranteeing that the model itself is explainable because it cannot hallucinate beyond those limits. So this is one thing that is important also.
Awesome. Thanks, Jan. Yeah, and then, want to be clear, again, this isn't a competitive slide, right? This is the category slide. Every company in AI trail matching today, right? And there are some good ones, solving the 2020 problem, right? NLP on clinical notes, right? As mentioned, that was the state of the art back then, but regulation is moving. So EU AI Classification Act, FDA is trending towards requiring explainability and reproducibility. By 2027, the model is 87% accurate, won't be sufficient for regulatory submissions. So the question is, who's building that for the future now? And again, here's the timeline that matters. It's EU Act, right? FDA, AI, ML framework is tracking the same, and Visa in Brazil, CDSCO in India, right? Global regulators are converging on the same requirements. Explainability, reproducibility, audit, decision logs. Physics-informed models with formal verification satisfy all of these by design. You don't need to retrofit. You need to bolt on. You don't need to bolt on an explainability layer, right? The physics is the explanation. The proof is the audit trail. Everyone building a clinical AI today without the path to formal verification is accumulating regulatory debt. So the framework here. Jan, you want to talk on the framework?
Yeah, sure. So when we talk about the physics AI stack, it's like the main core here is still being the data. So we have the temporal data ingestion, and this is really important because we are analyzing the whole behavior, the whole temporal trajectory of the patients itself, of the people inside of the clinical research. So we have some jurisdiction specific regulatory context because we need to guarantee that we are not surpassing any kind of data constraints in this kind of point. When we have the temporal data, we have the data core part of the system. We are adding the physics informed constraints that can be changed depending of the protocols, depending of the analysis that we are doing. So in this part of the things, we have the physics constraints. Then when we are saying physics, we have the equations that behaves the clinical pharmacokinetics, for example, but it's not exactly the equations that important here in the physics constraints. The physics constraints came to the pattern, the limits that needs to be obeyed by the model, like the things that cannot be surpassed or underpassed by the model because they can violate real laws or real protocols or this kind of thing. So all of the things that cannot be disobeyed or that cannot be wrong in any specific way, we are adding here after we have the data ingestion part. Then we came for the cascade forecasting, as Stephen explained again before. So we have like the eligibility of the patient inside of the study. We have the screen fail trajectory of the system, of the patient. We have the dropout, and then we analyze and matches this with the toxicity. The toxicity here is not exactly a single point. So we are not analyzing if the patient is under or above the threshold of the toxicity. But we have a curve, a trajectory, and we have to analyze all of the context for understanding that in that specific drug, in that specific study, in that specific demographic situation, like place, age, all of the things, we need to analyze those conditions to understanding if the threshold is enough for guaranteeing that the patient is eligible or not for that part of the study. So this allows more it's more robust than the entire framework with all of the 3 steps. And finally, after we are doing this, we have the formal verification for guaranteeing that this obeys in the part of the proof certificate. So we are going the audit trail part. So we are guaranteeing that the screen trail is obeying all of the things. We analyze the entire behavior, the entire time series pass of the patient, and then we are guaranteeing that this doesn't obey the audit trail part. Also, this is really important because we can also use all of those steps for the audit trail itself, because we can't say exactly what is happening in each part of the system here. It's not a black box model. We know exactly what is happening in all of the steps, and this is different from the explainability AI, because we are not analyzing the weights itself. We can do this later, but we are understanding exactly what the model needs to learn there. It's not just losses about the data itself. It's not just reducing a goal of the data, the prediction between the data, but it's obeying all of the physics, all of the clinical constraints that we are adding here. So we know exactly how the model is thinking.
Awesome. Yeah, so the that's the framework. So I'll tell you where we are with it. Next trial is a reference implementation for this full stack, demonstrating that physics-informed, fully verified clinical AI isn't theoretical, it's in production. We model eligibility as a temporal trajectory. We forecast full enrollment cascade. We deploy on institutional infrastructure with 0 PHI egress. And we've built for multi-jurisdictional regulatory compliance from day one. So today we're not just FDA, but Anvisa in Brazil and CDSCO in India. We're currently in IT reviews with enterprise pharma partners, and our compliance certifications are in progress. In a few minutes, I'm going to walk you through what that looks like on a live protocol. So again, I want to be direct, right? The framework's open, right? This is physics-informed constraints, cascade forecasting, formal verification. These are not secrets, right? This is PIN literature is public. The Lean 4 is open source, right? Regulatory requirements are published, right? Anyone can read this and say, we should do that, and they should, right? The industry needs more of this and not less. But this is what we've learned building it, is that the distance between understanding the framework and having the system that passes regulatory scrutiny is pretty enormous, and it requires a physics expertise, not ML engineers who read a pen and paper, but people who know the differential equations. So it requires clinical domain knowledge, therapeutic areas, and requires Lean 4 proficiency, which is one of the rarest skill sets of technology. And it requires real-world pilot data to validate against. So we're building this for years, and the framework looks simple, and the execution is anything but. So what it means is that if you are a sponsor, this means enrollment forecasts you can actually plan around, backed by physics, not hope. If you run a site, that means your coordinators spend less time, an hour per patient instead of 4 to 6, and they screen the right patients at the right time, right? If you're a CRO, this means predictable first patient in, and you can commit to that to your contracts. And if you're thinking about regulatory compliance, that means AI that satisfies the requirements being written right now, explainability, reproducibility, auditable decision logic by design. So let me show you what the physics-informed consolidation isn't coming, right? It's here. So 3 forces converging: regulatory demand, provable safety, physics-informed ML reaching production maturity, and clinical trial industry that's burned through 5 years of AI investment without moving the needle on screen failure rates. The teams that build this infrastructure now: physics constraint, cascade forecasting, formal verification will set the standard for regulated AI for the next decade. Everyone else will be retrofitting. So we spent the last 15 minutes on the framework. So now I'm going to spend the next 15, proving it works. I've loaded one protocol, 8 patients, and I'm going to show you in a closing window that every other patient matching engine on the planet would miss, and what happens when you catch it. Let me switch my screen here. Boom.
During the time, Yan, could you share your link to, because it's supposed to be you have a tutorial type introduction of physics AI, but we don't have time. So maybe I already saw that you have an article in LinkedIn. So
Yeah, sure.
let other
I
people
can
know
share
about the link that they can look at what is a physics AI, right? In general, right? Because
Yeah, sure.
we are focused on a specific topic, but actually
Yeah.
the Yan is expert in over. So, and also I show that my own application in physics informed AI in other area, like MRI, oncology, is a potential is huge, right? So it's worthwhile you know about it.
Yeah, exactly. I can share my LinkedIn profile here on
Yeah,
chat
in
because
the chat, and then yeah,
okay, I
yeah.
have some articles there, and
Steven,
I
yeah, you can
okay,
start
okay.
the demo. Yep.
Okay, great. So again, everybody, thanks Alex and Jan. Great. What I want you to sit with this on the next 15 minutes is, if your matching platform tells you that a patient is 92% eligible score, what does that actually guarantee? The answer is nothing, right? A confidence score is not a safety guarantee, and that distinction is about to become very expensive for anyone who ignores it. 80% of clinical trials fail to meet those enrollment timelines, and screen failure rates in rare diseases 40 to 88%. So the industry spent the last 5 years throwing out machine learning, money at machine learning on clinical nodes. So what we're going to do here today is, first, let me show you, this is the next trial platform powered by Selena, our AI, our clinical AI. One trial loaded, right? It's NCT number, CAE 101 for Mayo, stage 3B, AL, embryodosis. 8 patients, again, across 5 US sites. And immediately, Selena is surfacing something: 2 patients require immediate action, not because of missing data, because their disease is progressing towards a critical biomarker threshold. So she highlights that immediately. Let me jump over here to the protocol intelligence. First, the engine digests and analyzes the full protocol, right? Protocol score 68 out of 100. This is a high complex protocol, 124 target enrollment over 24 months. Selena has already identified the critical risk, right? This is the trial requires NT pro BNP above 8,500 PGML, and that's a cardiac biomarker threshold. And here's what makes the protocol uniquely challenging, is that patients who cross that threshold aren't getting more eligible, right? They're getting sicker. Cardiac function is declining, and that creates what we call the closing window paradox. So let me jump over here and show you that trajectory analysis. So here's what it looks like in practice, right? At the bottom here. This is an NT-proBNP trajectory chart, 3 patients tracked over 6 weeks. The red line, the red dashed line in the middle is the threshold. So if they cross that threshold, they'll be ineligible, right? But in traditional matching systems, right? So you want to watch the lower two lines. These 2 patients, 89 and 134, right? They're approaching the threshold from below. They're rising. They're rising at 280 to 340 per week. You know, and our model projects them crossing within days, right? So in traditional matching systems, Deep 6, Tempest, Trial GPT, any of them, none of them would see these patients. They would flag them as ineligible today because of their current value is below the threshold. So they're invisible, right? They won't appear in any matching output until the day they cross that 8,500. And by then, the screen fail risk has jumped from 35 to 67 or higher because the disease has progressed. Our system sees them from that 30 to 60 days before they cross and tells the coordinator, now, screen now, before the window closes. So, you know, how? The engine models the biomarker dynamics as differential equations, not just curve fitting, but actual physics. The NT-proBNP progression is cardiac amyloidosis, which follows a well-characterized dynamic. And, you know, we code those dynamics as hard constraints in the model. So the AI can't predict a trajectory that violates clinical physics. It can't hallucinate a suddenly improving cardiac biomarker in a stage 3B patient. So here's the full pipeline, right? Let me jump over here to the full pipeline. So we've got the full pipeline. You can see the patient predictions. It's clearly articulating 8 patients scored by urgency. You can see the 4 model output for each: eligibility, screening, you know, screen fail risk, dropout risk, toxicity risk. And this is the full funnel forecasting, not just a patient eligible today, but what's the probability this patient makes it through screening, stays enrolled, and completes the protocol without a treatment limiting adverse event. And that's what sponsors actually need to forecast enrollment. So let me show you the model performance tab here. So how we do model performance against validated cohorts is 87.3% eligibility prediction. What I want to focus on in the right panel, the physics-informed features, right? These aren't features in a random forecast. These are actual clinical dynamics that determine patient outcomes, and they're implemented as differential equations that constrain every prediction that the model makes. The result is a projected screen pass of 43% and versus a 29%, right? So baseline for historical trials of this nature. That's a 48% improvement, not because we're finding different patients, but because we're finding the same patients at the right time. So let me jump over to the audit trail. This is the slide that changes the conversation because everything we've shown you so far is someone could theoretically replicate through, you know, enough data scientists and enough time, but they can't replicate this. The FDA, CFR Part 11, FDA 21, CFR Part 11, compliance is built into the architecture. It's complete audit trail for every prediction. The ICH, GCP, E6R2, source data verification exports. This isn't a compliance checkbox we added later. This is an audit trail, is the product. So here's what makes Nextrail AI fundamentally different from every platform in this space. Every prediction in our system runs through that formal verification layer built on Lean 4. So here's what that looks like. The same proof assistant for DeepMind, Google DeepMind, and Alpha Proof. The system generates a mathematical proof certificate for each eligibility recommendation that proves, not estimates, not predicts, proves that the recommendation respects all hard safety constraints. So what does that mean in practice? It means that the auditor from the FDA, EMA, and Visa asks, how did you reach this decision? And how do you know it didn't violate safety constraints? We hand them the proof certificate from any computer science student can identify and verify, not a shop pilot plot, right? Not a feature importance ranking or but a mathematical proof. These are all exportable, as a full package at any time. And as per the deterministic AI, weighting 0, it is the same question, the same answer every single time. There's no creativity built in. As John mentioned, there is verifications that happen at deterministic levels, and we still use LLMs for natural language processing, but there are formal gates that verify hallucinations and audit hallucinations and drifts as well. So from the analytics hub here, you'll see a couple of other items in here as well alongside the PPE analytics. We've got the cohort, we've got site performance, safety signals, enrollment trends. These are partner integration platforms like On-Time Trials, CleanMatch Go, CleanCove, and we're building that orchestration layer for clinical trial operations. We connect your existing tools, we don't replace them. So, let me bring together, the clinical trial industry has an enrollment problem that costs $8 billion a year. And AI matching has been around for a decade and it hasn't solved it because the problem isn't matching. It's trajectory modeling. Knowing when a patient will be eligible, how long that window stays open, and what the full funnel risk profile looks like from screening through completion. So we're currently running pilot validations with academic medical centers and in active conversations with the rare disease focused teams at a major pharma. And if you're managing enrollment for any complex protocols, especially rare disease, oncology, or anything biomarker driven eligibility, we'd love to show you what that engine sees in your specific protocol. You can reach me at Steven at nexttrial.ai, or book directly in the link in the chat, and we'll throw that in there.
Thank you, Steven. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Actually, it's like short time learning. Actually, we actually have an initial meeting maybe 5 months ago, and then we talk about like orchestration, agentic AI orchestration required in clinical trial, and then we discuss about activation. And then actually, we never talk about this kind of deterministic physics informed AI each other. But I actually, in separate, I work, as I mentioned, that I was working in the MRI physics. And also you talk about like a determined way to in the clinical trial activation, and if we finally get it together at the same time, right? So what a coincidence, right? And then and also like I have something that in the last webinar that I talk about that, and another layer that I'm thinking about, because during this actually I advertised this event to the in LinkedIn profile. Somebody contact me, right? And then it has another layer actually that he shared his pitch deck, and then their casual reasoning, the way to actually to get the determinist way. Actually, he applied to other area. Also, like I met someone in the CES in the quantum computing section that I fortunately look at it. That he had the same mind, like is his quantum AI has utilizing kind of like the same thing you mentioned about like whatever you have some problem, they quantify. And then they quantify as a mathematical equation or whatever constraint. And then try to solve and then provide the answer. It's a completely same approach we are doing, right? Because and then he applied not in healthcare, but I propose that we can collaborate for the healthcare area, the quantum AI, casual reasoning, and then quantify everything, and then provide like a solution, right? Answer, right? It's a completely different approach. I think that you already mentioned that it will be also the like a solve the problem like hallucination with the buyers in a traditional like uncredible ways, right? So I think it's a good like a good time, right? We initiate this one, and then maybe I hopefully that it successfully launch our endeavor, and then maybe a lot of people admit that this is really needed in healthcare, right? In the future, that we have yeah, a lot of the fantastic application we can think about, it, right? So, is anyone has a question or whatever? Right. So I'm going to post this recording through the my LinkedIn and also going to have the share the recording and the presentation. Steve, are you going to share your presentation, or then if then just give me the copy that I can share with my. It's a tool that I have about the 2000 my previous webinar attenders. I'm going to share through that.
Yeah, I'll send you as a PPT you can send
Yeah.
out, and then I'll show
Okay.
you the gamma as well.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's
Fantastic. Any
fantastic.
yeah, any question or whatever that actually though you personally because Steven the email is very simple Steven and next try your AI so so contact him and then Jan is he's an expert to the you know like I've talked a lot of things about like healthcare and other things actually basically I did my PhD in physics so so Jan also did so it's fortunate that we have a very fantastic tool the name in physics, finally, after 30 years on my PhD. And then I talk about that I'm a physicist. Because you know, like I have a difficulty because I'm working in other area and that why physics degree kind of like people are working in here, then I have very difficult time to explain. But anyway, because recently quantum computing is the same thing. So okay, so thank you, Stephen and Jan, and thank you for attending today's webinar, and then hopefully see you in my next webinar. The next webinar, quantum AI and casual AI in healthcare life sciences. Okay, thank you,
Thank you so
and
much,
have a nice day.
Alex.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you.
Alex.
See ya,
Yeah, bye bye.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, bye bye.
Yeah.